first, the classified football results as ever, read by James Alexander Gordon.
Barclays Premier League. Manchester City 3, Sunderland 0. Swansea City 2, Reading 2. West Bromwich Albion 3.
Luton Town FC, known as the Hatters after its famous hat industry, was formed in 1885, but I didn't become involved as a spectator in its topsy-turvy progress until around 1948. In those days, the lily-white strip was white shirts and black shorts, and had been since 1920. Fast forward to the hideous fluorescent orange designs of later years. Our family lived in Cardigan Street, a stone's throw from the Kenilworth Road ground, and it was my father who took me to my first game in 1948. I was 10 years old, and it was he who carried me on his shoulders on the terraces behind the goal so that I could see the action. When I first started watching in 1948, the town were in Division 2, managed by Dally Duncan, a former Scottish international. Duncan had moved to Luton from Derby as a player coach in 1946, but gave up playing when he was appointed manager, a position he was to retain for the next 10 years. This team picture was taken before an away match against Birmingham City on September the 6th, 1947, that the town went on to lose 2-1. The players on that day were Peter Small, Frank Sue, Les Lake, Bernard Stretton, Billy Hughes, Sid Owen, Billy Waugh, Allenby Driver, Horace Gager, Hugh Billington, Eddie Connolly, and Dally Duncan. I can't say that I remember too many of the players from that time, but I do recall Horace Gager, the centre-half with his blonde hair, Frank Sue, who was part Chinese and noted for his ability to deliver perfectly placed passes, Hugh Billington, the main goal scorer, and Billy Waugh, famed for his speed, so much so that his nickname was the Rabbit. Very bravely, Duncan sold off several of these ageing pre-war players, such as Hugh Billington, Frank Sue, Billy Hughes, Horace Gager, and Bobby Brennan for big fees, and started to rebuild the team with younger, more promising players. The next 2 seasons were disappointing, with the town coming close to relegation in 1950-51, only surviving with 3-game winning run as the season drew to a close. By the 1951-52 season, however, performances were boosted by the debut of Gordon Turner and by the growing maturity of players like Sid Owen, Bob Morton and Charlie Watkins. Luton Town challenged for promotion before finishing 8th and again reaching the 6th round of the FA Cup. 1952-53 marked the signing of Jesse Pye from Wolves for £5,000. Pye had the outstanding record of scoring 95 goals in 209 appearances for Wolves and was the start of a run of excellent results that saw Town finish 3rd, the club's highest league finish at that time. Unfortunately, Pye fractured his ankle in December '53, and many fans believed the club would have won promotion had he stayed fit. As it was, the club finished 6th. In 1954-55, promotion to the top flight finally came. Despite Pye's transfer, Turner had by then matured into a great goal scorer, creating a new club record of 32 league goals, together with a side boasting the talents of Owen, Ron Bainham and Bob Morton. Town marched to promotion when they won 3-0 at Doncaster Rovers and thus secured promotion in 2nd place behind Birmingham City on goal average. In 1955-56, the backbone of the promotion team was retained with only one big signing, that being of Alan Brown, who together with Turner's 30 goals contributed to a 10th place finish, beating Newcastle, Blackpool, Wolves and league leaders Sunderland by big scores in the process. Luton's cup exploits of 1958-59 disguised the beginnings of an era of decline. The team was beginning to show its age as the club struggled to a 17th place finish, but in the FA Cup, Luton for the first and only time reached the FA final. Luton had beaten Forest 5-1 just weeks before, but on cup final day, the Town team was beaten 2-1. The cup final was Sid Owen's last match for Luton, as he was chosen to take over as manager for the 59-60 season. However, the Town had a disastrous season, finishing bottom, and were relegated after 5 years at the top level. What followed was to be even more disastrous, as the town sank dismally to Division 3 at the end of 62-63 season, and only 6 years from their FA Cup final appearance they slumped to the football basement in 1965 amidst apathy and crowds of less than 3,000. Luton Town hold the unwanted distinction of being the only post-war former top-flight club to drop through the 5 tiers of English football, giving their fans a unique experience of football in all 5 tiers. Sam Bartram, a former player, took over from Sid Owen. Bartram, a legend of the game, played in goal for Charlton for 22 years and was never dropped from the team until he retired in 1956. He dismantled the cup final team, and many unsettled players and old favourites from the First Division years were sold. With attendances dwindling, the club finished 13th. The 1961-62 season saw a remodelled team again finish 13th. Bartram left, and despite the appointment of managers Jack Crompton, followed by Bill Harvey in quick succession, the team sank dismally to Division 3. The club was again in serious relegation trouble by the December, when the signing of a young goalscorer, John O'Rourke, helped improve performances. His 2 goals in the last home game of the season against rivals Watford ironically prevented their promotion and also maintained Luton's survival. Poor results continued in the 1964-65 season. Harvey resigned as manager and was eventually replaced by George Martin, returning for his second spell as Luton manager, but the rot continued and Luton were relegated to the 4th Division for the first time in the club's history. The new manager imposed stern player discipline, and this started to have an effect, with the results improving dramatically. Luton finished 6th. The 1966-67 season, however, marked the club's lowest ever league finish, but also the beginning of a recovery. Results were initially poor. Alan Brown took over as manager, and it took an 8-1 loss to Lincoln in December to shake up the team, who steadily improved in the new year, finishing 17th with attendances doubled in just about a few months. By the end of 1967, Luton, led by ever-present captain Terry Branson, and a squad including Bruce Rioch, John Moore and Graham French, were a team transformed. Rioch, a powerful midfielder with a cannon of a shot, went on to play numerous times for Scotland. John Moore was a town stalwart, playing 247 games, and French scored what is often regarded as Luton Town's greatest ever goal in a match against Mansfield Town. Luton notched up 66 points during 1967-68 to equal the division record and scored 87 goals. Attendances jumped from 5,000 to over 12,000, which helped the club's directors to turn down offers from bigger clubs for the free-scoring Bruce Rioch, who scored the only goal at Halifax Town on the 20th of April 1968 to clinch promotion. 4 days later, Luton beat Crewe Alexandra in front of 19,000 at Kenilworth Road to seal the 4th Division Championship. The 1968-69 campaign was a frustrating season that saw Luton finish 3rd, narrowly missing out on a second consecutive promotion. Brown resigned and was replaced by Alex Stock, who brought a little-known Fulham fullback, Malcolm MacDonald, to the club in the summer of '69. MacDonald was moved from defence to centre-forward with marvellous success, scoring 25 goals as Luton stormed to a second-place finish in 1969-70. Comedian Eric Morecambe became a director of the club in 1970, and promotion back to the 2nd Division was clinched on the final day of the season with a tight 1-0 win over Southport. As a young boy living so close to Kenilworth Road, I was able to simply walk into the ground through the main stand entrance any time the squad were training. The players were very happy to mix with us young fans in those days, not like today, and we were even allowed to act as ball boys during the training session. I became quite friendly with several of the players, particularly Sid Owen. I was an avid autograph collector, and Sid would take my book with him on away games and get all the opponents' autographs. Imagine that happening with today's stars. We could also wait outside the main stand where the team coaches parked and get autographs as the players left the ground. In those days the players were very accessible and we could mingle with them after the game when they came out of the dressing room. Stars of the day were Stanley Matthews, the Wizard of Dribble, and his Blackpool partner Stan Mortensen, the only player ever to score a hat-trick in a Wembley Cup final. Rach Carter, Hull City, a supreme entertainer, bewilderingly clever and constructive, lethal in front of goal. Tommy Lawton, Notts County, a strong centre-forward with excellent all-round attacking skills, able to head the ball with tremendous power and accuracy. Nat Lofthouse, Bolton Wanderers, the Lion of Vienna, a traditional but talented old-fashioned English centre-forward. Tom Finney, Preston North End, the Preston Plumber, a winger with skill and a powerful shot in both feet. Billy Wright, Wolves, a centre-half who made 105 appearances for England, captaining them a record 90 times. Jackie Milburn, Newcastle United, War Jackie, a centre-forward with blistering speed, combined with power and a ferocious strike. Bert Troutman, a Manchester City goalkeeper, ex-German footballer. He played in the 1956 FA Cup final with a broken neck. Jimmy Greaves, Tottenham Hotspurs, one of England's greatest ever strikers. He was the top flight's leading goal scorer in 6 seasons and England's 4th highest goal scorer ever. Dennis Law, the King, played for both Manchester United and City. He scored an incredible 6 goals in an FA Cup tie against Luton Town until the game was abandoned with 20 minutes to go. And finally, George Best, Manchester United's winger, unquestionably one of the greatest players ever and arguably the first ever football celebrity. I was fortunate to watch the town through its glory years of the First Division and was able to watch some of the best teams and players of the era.